I'm finally talking about Saga. I've been meaning to talk about this comic for quite some time now, but I've had to put it off for multiple reasons. For one, I'm gonna look through book one here, and book one is pretty big. But I did eventually finish it, obviously. The other reason is because I don't think a lot of what happens in this comic is filmable and able to be put onto YouTube. As you can see here, I have the bottom of this cover cut off because I don't even know if I can show the cover on YouTube. It might be okay. I'd rather not take any chances. I don't want to get flagged for a stupid video, although that seems to be all I get flagged for, but whatever. Anyway, I really like this book, but like I said, there is some naughty stuff in this book. There's a lot of raunchiness, there's a lot of nudity, so if there's going to be any awkward cuts in this video, it's because I turned the page and there was something I can't show on YouTube. So, oh boy, here we go. So if you're not familiar with Saga, here's the basic premise of it. There are two races of aliens, ones that have horns like rams and pointy ears, and another one that have like fairy wings. And they've been at war with each other for a long time. But then two of them fall in love and they end up having a child, and the comic opens with them having their baby. So it's a very nice, charming love story. There's also lots of violence in this comic as well. But yeah, mostly we follow the two of them on their journeys, although there's a lot of things in this comic that they just constantly throw at you, and it's you never know what's going to happen on the next page. Let me see if I can turn the page and not censor anything. Nope, there you go. Okay, we're good. Yeah, that's another thing I really like about this comic, is that it kind of takes you by surprise with every turn. And they do a really good job of building up sort of a wacky world. Sorry, I had to cut away there for a second because I turned the page and I saw something I couldn't show on YouTube. But yeah, they do a really good job building this strange world. Like there's these aliens that are just people with TVs for heads. I think they're supposed to be robots, but I'm not sure. They seem very human-like. They have like skin and everything. It's like, I don't know. This comic is very weird. And we get to meet a lot of other really cool characters. I think I really like this guy here. His name is The Will. Not Will, The Will. It's like a Tribe Called Quest. You got to say the whole thing. So he's kind of a mercenary, and I think he gets hired to track down the two aliens. And what I like about him, for one thing, his sidekick is this cat that can tell if you're lying or not, and that's the only time it speaks. Boy, I wish those were real. And here's another reason I like this guy, because he feels very down to earth. Like, he feels like the one anchor to, I don't want to say sanity, but like he's very identifiable in this whole story. And by the way, I'm covering up something that I can't show on YouTube. Oh, this is hard. You know, I really don't want to reveal too much about this comic, but I'll just kind of skim through it and just point out little things that I like. I like this character right here. This is Isabel. She's a ghost of some kind of alien creature, I guess. They just kind of happen to meet her on this planet, and she agrees to help them get off the planet if she can go with them. So she has to possess their child in order, well, not really possess, more like she has to anchor herself to their child in order for her to leave the planet, which is really cool because not only is there like a really weird science fiction element to this comic, there's also a lot of fantasy elements. Like there is magic, like his race knows magic, like he knows healing spells and things like that, and it's I do like when science fiction and fantasy get melded well together. Here's what I'm talking about with how this comic will surprise you, because there's this whole scene right here where they're on the planet, they're looking for someone, and then suddenly this happens. And then they look up at what that was, and, well, I can't show you what it is. I can't show you where it came from, rather. So, unfortunately, you're going to have to look into the book yourself to see what happens here. What I think really makes this comic good is the themes it has, because it has heavy emphasis on family and more specifically parenting, because there's a lot of trials and tribulations they're having trying to raise a child who basically had not existed before they got together, because their two races have been at war forever. In fact, there's a lot of people in this comic that are after them, but they go through so much for the child that I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say the creators of this who are right here, Brian Vaughan. I don't really know much about the guy. Artist Fiona Staples. I don't know much about them, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say one of, if not both of them, may have had some very interesting experiences raising a family or raising a child, or possibly been a part of a very difficult family situation. But that's just me wagering a guess. I really don't know anything about them, but there does seem to be a lot of evidence to that in this comic. So I could be wrong. I really can't say too much more about this comic, but because it seems like one of those comics you kind of have to experience for yourself. I would feel like I wouldn't be doing this comic justice by just going through it and telling you every little thing about it. So, yeah, definitely recommend reading it. So this was book one, which compiles, I believe this is like the first 3 chapters, which they break down into chapters in here, which makes things nice and confusing for everybody. But yeah, there were 3 larger books published with which were compiling a lot of the comics that came out. So yeah, book 1 is kind of where you want to go if you want to catch up. A lot of places sell this pretty expensive. I did find it on Amazon for like $15, I believe. But yeah, if you want to take a look, it's definitely worth a read. I felt very invested in this while I was reading it. I believe they're up to book 6 right now, so there's more than likely going to be a book 2 coming out. So I'm gonna probably wait for that to come out before I read any more of this. But yeah, highly recommended this. This comic was weird, and but it had a lot of human elements to it. It had a lot of surprises, a lot of humor, a lot of violence, a lot of nudity if you love that. So yeah, just be careful if you're gonna be filming this, and be careful if you're gonna show this to people who might not enjoy that kind of thing. I'm fine with it, by the way. I'm just being awkward because it's hard for me to film this. But yeah, loved Saga. Definitely want to read more of it. Highly recommend it. So be sure to check it out and leave a comment below and let me know what you think.